Good evening, everyone. If our candidates would come and take the stage and just fill in all the way across, because all five of our candidates are here. Go ahead and start our YouTube stream. Excellent, excellent. Good evening. I'm your neighbor, Reverend Dr. Judy Cummings, and we're all always so thankful and grateful to be here at the Word of Life Church. Our friend Robert Taylor is back there on the sound. We're just so thankful for the generosity of this church to District 1 for letting us meet here. This church has been a true friend to District 1, and so we want to make sure, Robert, that you tell your pastor that we said thank you, because we know that we're using your air, we're using your lights, we're using your bathroom and your tissue paper. Amen? Amen. But welcome to the District 1 United Metro Council Candidates Forum. District 1 United was started a few years ago when several of us in District 1 decided that we could no longer sit back and wait for someone to come and rescue us, and that we as tax-paying citizens are empowered to seek our own welfare and livelihood and represent our own selves if necessary. We started a Facebook page and a website to keep our neighbors informed. During COVID, we hosted several Zoom meetings about issues that were negatively impacting our community so that we could educate ourselves and organize and use our collective voices either for or against those proposals. Today, a few of us, myself, Dr. Judy Cummings, Floyd Morrell to my left, Ian Rhett to my right, Jennifer Hagan, Michelle Neal, Joe Engel from Whites Creek, Joe Engel. We're here from Whites Creek, Cato Neighbors, Bordeaux, Scottsboro, and Jolton. We came together to volunteer to plan this forum. We also put in our own $600 to purchase those beautiful blue signs that you have seen out in the neighborhood to ensure that our neighbors would be informed about this forum. Today, raise that bucket up. Y'all know I'm a preacher. Today, we're passing the bucket because we have about $90 left over that we need to pay for those signs. And we're just asking you to invest in your community. And so we're going to just ask for an offering. So just pass it around. If you don't want to put a dollar in it, pass it to somebody else. Don't just sit there and hold it. Oh, okay. We must have had the communion bucket. Yeah, I wonder why I had that plastic on there. We're going to have fun today, but it's also going to be a little difficult because we have some difficult questions that we want to ask the candidates today. Candidates who live here in District 1, constituents, you're going to have the opportunity to come to the mic. But the questions that we're asking today are those questions that came in on the website. So those of you who took time to put your questions in on the website, these are your questions. So listen closely, and if it's a question that has not been asked, write it down on your sheet of paper so that when you come to the mic at the end, toward the end of the forum, you're ready to ask the question. As I've already said, today's forum is also being live streamed on YouTube. And if any of you want to stream Facebook Live while we're here, we would certainly appreciate it. If anyone takes any pictures, if you'll just make sure we get them so we can post them on our Facebook page. We're grateful for each of these candidates who have thrown their hat into the ring. District 1 is in dire need of a candidate who will truly represent all the diverse needs in District 1. District 1 is the largest district and therefore the most attractive to the unscrupulous desires of some. Today, these candidates will be asked some hard questions. Please, candidates, don't take it personally, but the constituents of District 1 have much to protect and much to preserve. Michelle Neal will be our timekeeper. You will know how much time you have for each question. At this time, each candidate has 60 seconds, 1 minute to introduce themselves. We'll begin with candidate Ruby Baker, and we'll go down the line. It's on. There's just a little delay when they first turn them on.
Okay.
So if you'll go ahead and keep your mics on, we have already worked out the feedback issue, so there shouldn't be any feedback.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming and thank you for hosting this forum. My name is Ruby Baker. I do live in District 1. I've lived in District 1 for 23 years. And I am currently the president of our Bordeaux Hills Residential Association. And I am very familiar with District 1. I've searched District 1 from Jolton, Scottsboro, Bells Bend. I've canvassed for several months, and I've identified 30 neighborhoods. And my goal is to focus on the people, preservation, and progress of District 1. Focus on every person in the neighborhood and the community, and also to help protect and preserve your home, your land, your asset, anything that's important to you as Nashville continue to progress so that no community is left behind. And again, I'll just pass, do I pass my mic or no? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Daly, and I am running to be your council person for District 1. Folks, if you live in this district, you know that we cannot afford business as usual any longer. What business as usual has gotten us is a disconnection from the decisions that shape our way of life and underrepresentation. We can't afford to do that any longer. And so we need to elect a candidate that can execute on a vision that makes our neighborhoods truly special. We have a golden opportunity in front of us here. I am your candidate if you are deeply concerned with corruption in city government, if you are concerned about developers having their way with our property and our land and in our vested interest in our neighborhoods, if you are concerned about that kind of thing, I am your candidate. I am your candidate if you are concerned about us losing our identity as Nashvillians as development comes in. I'm Sean Daly. I would love to have your vote. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Timothy Thompson, and I am running for councilman in District 1. My job is to be here with you guys today so that you get a better understanding of who I am and what I have to offer to this district. I'm a son of the youngest of Billy Crow Thompson and Maxine Biles. I was born and raised here in Nashville. I went to White Creek High School. I am a resident and a business owner here in District 1. I've been here for 12 years. I own a barber shop that sits on 3453 West Hamilton Avenue. I've been there, like I said, 12 years. I worked in close conjunction with Haynes Park Neighborhood Association. I worked in close conjunction with Metro Nashville Public Schools and doing several different outdoor programs. I also have worked in conjunction with for the First Tee program, and I've also worked with different community organizations like Metro Parks in terms of training seniors and young adults in golf.
Hi, thanks everybody for being here today. I'm Rob Harris. I'm a native Nashvilleian. I am a graduate of MMPS schools, Hunters Lane High School, and I am here because I want to serve you. I worked for Metro Nashville for 14 years, started out as an intern, worked my way all the way to the mayor's office. So I've seen some things and I'm ready to work for you. But more importantly, I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I am a believer. So the three things that really get me up in the morning are faith, family, and community. I'm ready to work for you. Rob Harris.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Joy Smith Kimbrough. First, I'd like to just thank God for allowing us all to be here today. My name is Joy Smith Kimbrough. I am the daughter of Ruby and Thomas Smith, who were Metro Public School teachers and principal. I was born at Riverside Hospital. My parents brought me home to 3952 Drakes Branch Road. I have remained in District 1 my entire life. I have attended every public school in District 1. I have attended Wade, Jordonia, Cumberland, Jolton Junior High, and Whites Creek Comprehensive High School. I am an attorney by trade. I have handled some of the most high-profile cases in Middle Tennessee. I am a fighter. That same ferocity that people have seen in the courtroom.
Thank you. And I will
Thank
say
you.
this. We have a timekeeper. Michelle, if you'll give me a 5-second, give them a little 5-second wave so that they can rein it in. We know you have a lot to talk about, but if you go over the time, we will shut you down because we have a very tight schedule. We've got a lot of questions from the community that they want to ask. First of all, the first question is it okay to call you all by your first name?
Absolutely,
Yes.
with me.
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Candidates, you don't have to use your entire 60 seconds if a simple answer will suffice. I want to review the rules of engagement that each of you received so that the people in the audience know what the rules are. Be respectful. Answer the question that is asked. Please do not mention other candidates by name. You will be told up front how much time you have to answer each question. You've already introduced yourselves. Again, the questions that you're being asked have been gathered by those who posed them on the D1 United website survey. Questions from your constituents will also come from the microphone, so the people here will have an opportunity to come to the microphone. Each candidate will be given a 2-minute closing statement. And then we have 2 minutes to do a closing statement. And then we have asked that each of you plan to stay for a few minutes. We know you've already been out working the poll today, but to meet and greet your constituents. Again, the questions have come from the community. These questions have not been shared with the candidates. So we get to see in real time them answering these questions.
Okay. Not every question will be directed at each candidate. This question regarding residency is for Joy and Tim. It has been said that a person's residence is where they sleep at night or day. In the past, council candidates have claimed to live in District 1 and in fact have not. This question is directed specifically to Joy Kimbrough and Timothy Thompson due to concerns among some District 1 constituents. Is the house where you sleep located in District 1? What is your actual address? How can you verify that you've been living in District 1 for the last 6 months? Joy, you first. Okay.
Yes, to answer the first question, yes, I live in District 1. My addresses are 3901 and 3952 Drakes Branch Road, both Drakes Branch Road, because sometimes I'm at one end of Drakes Branch Road, the other times I'm at 3952 Drakes Branch Road, because I spend a lot of time with my daughter and my granddaughter. But yes, I reside at two addresses, 3901 Drakes Branch Road and 3952 Drakes Branch Road. My driver's license reflects that. My light bill reflects that. My water bill reflects that. My phone bill reflects that. Almost every document I have reflects that. I don't know what else. Is there something else you wanted?
No, that's good.
My car registration reflects that.
Okay, Tim?
So my current residence is at 3453 West Hamilton Avenue. I've lived since 2016 after my divorce from my, and that has been my residence.
Put it all the way to your mouth.
Hello?
Yes.
We have one.
Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Okay, there we go. My residence is 3453 West Hamilton Avenue. I've been there since 2016, since my wife and I divorced, my ex-wife now. That has been my residence. I had the option of moving in with my father, who passed away in 2016, but I remained there because with my father, he was a cancer patient, and he didn't want to be exposed to, me and me being a part of the public with his health condition. So I resided in the barbershop. That's where I live, at 3453 West Hamilton Avenue. I've been there since 2016. And I voted from that address for the last 6 years.
Thank you so much. Again, you don't have to use all 60 seconds. And audience, we would ask you to refrain from making any expressions so that we can continue the time. This is a lightning round question. It is yes or no. Each candidate will answer yes or no. We have reviewed the latest campaign disclosures, but for the sake of public trust, yes or no, has your campaign received any benefit, that is money in kind, from special interest groups such as developers and or realtors? Yes or no? Let's begin with Ms. Baker. And just keep your mic on. Turn it on. It's on. Go on.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Follow-up question. Yes or no? Was the money returned? If it was, I'm sorry, it's not a yes or no. Was the money returned? Why, if so, why was the money returned? You have 30 seconds. Ruby, then Tim.
Yes, the money was returned. The developer, I called them and explained to them that I work for the people, and I made a promise to the people that I would not receive donations or service from developers, and the money was returned immediately. It hit my account, they did it online, and once it passed the pending, I did a check and I returned it, and I disclosed it on my financial disclosures. The Election Commission, I'm sorry, I did return it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did receive monies, and they were from family members that happened to be developers, that I wasn't aware at the time when I did receive the money, since there was a problem, because they were family members. Have I returned the money? At the present time, no, I have not.
Thank you.
I've received money from several realtors who are my fraternity brothers, and I have not returned that money. I also have received money from A Better Nashville, who is a group of business leaders, but not in any way developers.
Did anyone else receive money? I think that was only 3. Thank you. Ian?
This question is for Ruby Baker. Due to community concerns, this question is, can you explain the money you received from Waste Management for your neighborhood in 30 seconds?
Yes, Waste Management during the May 2010 flood, Waste Management, along with several other donors like Lee Company, Home Depot, they were assisting neighborhoods, and they had followed me discreetly for a while and decided to give a donation to my neighborhood association along with the Lee Company and others. Senator Harper, Representative Gilmore, and several were in attendance during that donation. And then they followed up with helping with retrofitting senior homes as well. And to be honest, they owe us more.
Thank you. Rob, just a follow-up question because we weren't quite clear. You received money from realtors. Did you return the money, yes or no?
No, they're my fraternity brothers.
Thank you.
Okay. This next question is concerning your commitment to District 1, and you have 60 seconds to respond, and this is specifically for Joy and Rob. Due to community concerns, this question, like I said, is for Joy and Rob only. Having changed jobs in Metro so many times, Rob, and Joy having run for judge seat in the past, what is your commitment to represent District 1 as our council member? Joy first.
I have been committed to District 1 and the entire county as a whole. I ran for judge, not for personal reasons why I wanted to be a judge. I ran for judge because I found problems with the way justice was being distributed. So I ran for that reason. I've always been committed not just to District 1, but to the county as a whole. I personally have expunged 3,000 records so that our young people can attend school, get housing, get jobs. So I've been in the community, not just District 1. I've represented people for free, pro bono, not just District 1, but the entire community. But yes, I'm devoted to my community. This is my lifelong resident. These are the people that I knew and went to school with. So of course, I care and I'm committed to them.
Hi. First, I'd like to say that I commit to the next 4 years. So, yes, I've worked in Metro for 14 years. I started out as an intern, and I made a lot of progress. So when people find out that you're good, everybody remembers playing on the playground, right? Who do you get picked first? You pick the kid who can really play, and that's how it's been for me. People have reached out to me. People have said, "Hey, I want you on my team." So yes, I've had an opportunity to make some progress. But as for this job, I left a job in Metro where I had received 2 maximum salary increases in the last year to take a salary decrease to run for this job. I believe in my community.
Okay, thank you. This next question is in regards to contextual overlay, and it's specifically for Ruby and Sean. You'll have 60 seconds to respond. Several neighborhoods in District 1 just passed a contextual overlay to protect the character and beauty of their communities. how will you balance the desire of some communities wanting to preserve the character of their neighborhood with the desire of others for growth? And if your answer is smart growth, can you be specific about what that looks like in both rural and suburban areas of District 1? You have 60 seconds, and Ruby, you'll go first.
Thank you for that question. And yes, part of my principle is helping to protect and preserve your home, your land, your asset, and especially your home and the environment. So yes, I am supportive of contextual overlay. The recent contextual overlay for Enchanted Hills, I spoke in opposition asking for a deferral because half of the neighborhood was included and half was not. And there were those that wanted to be included that did not want to be, and there were some that were not that thought they were. So I opposed that during the council meeting, asking for a deferral to include the others. And what smart growth looks like to me in that aspect is the fact that if we have a restaurant, most people want a specific type of restaurant. So I need to know what your likes are and what you want specifically so that I could pursue smart growth that balances out.
Yes, so for me, when I look at our assets in this district, I see a great many of them. I also see a lot of people that have different needs. In Bordeaux, I live close to here. We need a lot of services. We need more business interests. We need a lot more of what we don't have. We need sidewalks. We need roofs to justify some of this economic development coming in. On the other hand, there are communities and pockets of communities in District 1 that don't want this kind of thing. They want to preserve the Nashville that they know, and I am a proponent of that. I believe that we have got to listen to our constituents. We've got to listen to the people who live here, and I don't want to wake up one day and not recognize the place that we live. But on the other hand, when you talk about smart growth, we've got to do something about this corridor out here, this Clarksville Pike corridor and some others that are underdeveloped. We need to develop smartly and strategically. Thank you.
Thank you. Nashville Next is a plan created by residents which guides us through 2040. Nashville Next provides direction and policy direction on the physical structure of Davidson County, the things we build, how and where we build them, and the places we preserve. Do you foresee the need to review the Nashville Next plan now, and why? This question is for Joy and then Tim. 60 seconds each.
Yes, because I would like to review it again because I do have a basic understanding, but I would really, really, really want to know more specifics regarding Nashville Next, because I know it has a lot to do with preservation, and I'm a proponent of preservation. So I would want to know the specifics and see if it's even something we could add to it, especially considering the areas of the Highland Rim that are in our district. So of course, I would want to review it more just to see if we could do even more, extend it some. And since I have time, I also forgot to mention earlier, I stopped taking cases to serve my community. I have stopped taking in new cases as an attorney to serve my community.
I've currently been reviewing the Nashville Next plan for the last 3 or 4 months myself, and I do understand that with the green conservation with the Highland Rim area and keeping District 1 suburban and rural areas was a part of the plan to make sure that as we do smart growth, that we do preserve those aspects of our district, which is one of the great qualities in which we have. When you look at the Jolton area and its history, and you look at Scottsboro, they were all based on agriculture and development and farming. The city saw fit during the Nashville Next plan to preserve those type of qualities in order for us to grow. One of the biggest things that I've noticed in reading the Nashville Next plan was it was designed so that it would protect us from sprawl, which is uncontrolled growth by developers coming into our communities. So the Nashville Next plan was adopted in 2017 for the sole main purpose to protect our district.
Thank you. Rob, at your campaign event at the restaurant near the stadium, you stated that Nashville Next was, quote, 12, 13, or 14 years old, a starting point, and stated that, quote, it's not fair that current and new residents should be bound by the rules established by residents in a community 15 years ago. You also said that we needed to listen to current residents in a community to understand their desires about the future character of their community. What would you do in a case when most members of a community want to follow Nashville Next and a few do not? You have 60 seconds.
So I think that we have that issue going on in a area that we are now taking over from District 3 on West Green Lane and Green Lane. So there is a 500-unit development, mixed use, and I think that we are trying to navigate the going from rural to a suburban designation. So I think that it takes neighborhood meetings, it takes communication, it takes having everybody involved. Because if you want to change the zoning, then there has to be something specific, and that we need to do SPs on that particular property, which keeps the developers committed to what they have actually said. So if the current community says we want to change, we need a SP.
Whites Creek has experienced intense development pressure over the last several years. What is your opinion or vision of how Whites Creek should or should not be developed? Rob and then Joy. 60 seconds each, please.
So I live in Whites Creek, and actually I live next to behind the Thompson property, which was just recently sold, 106 acres. I think that we need to remain open, but I don't want to see the size of the lots change. So I think that we have pretty much in Whites Creek accepted that we have 1 acre lots, and I think that's a good starting point. But there are some areas that have some opportunities. So there's the Fontanelle property that sits out here that has gone from the hands of Mark Oswald and Dale to an out-of-town Chicago developer who wasn't able to keep it. But we need that type of place where we can sit down and we can have a restaurant and we could take our families out. Okay.
Thank you. The next 2 questions are lightning round, yes or no questions. I'm sorry? Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, please, please. Joy, I'm so sorry.
I know I'm on the end, probably couldn't see me. It's okay. I know that Whites Creek has a lot of natural resources, and of course, we'd have to be concerned about preservation and conservation when it comes to Whites Creek. But I want to say this, because this will probably be my answers for a lot of things. I have to consider what the community wants. I want to meet with the community. I want to talk to the community. I want us to have our regular meetings and see what the community wants. I don't want to shove anything or any personal thing I want to do or think it should be down anyone's throat. I want to consider my community. That's what I would do.
I'm sorry for cutting you off there. So now we have 2 questions that are lightning round questions. We'll start with Ruby and go down the line and then come back on the second question. The first question, will you commit to rejecting the expansion of industrial land use in District 1?
Yes.
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 And the second question, will you commit to rejecting multifamily development in rural neighborhoods?
Yes.
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 Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Why don't you all take a deep breath? And somebody, please take some pictures for us, please. We didn't think about that. We're going to now ask you some questions about the role of a council member. In 1 sentence, please explain what you see as the job of the next District 1 council member. This question is being directed to Sean, Timothy, and then Ruby. Each one of you have 60 seconds.
What I view the role as a council person for District 1 is leadership, because we are going to receive intense pressure from all kinds of special interests. And it will take somebody that knows how to say no and has the wisdom to say yes when it's necessary and appropriate. Thank you.
We're in the church, so scripture tells us that the greatest amongst us shall be your servant. We need a servant in District 1. We need someone that's going to lead us and that's going to care for our district like I do, like everyone else up here says they do, that we need leadership that cares.
It's me?
It's you.
Okay. I understand the role of a council person is to first listen and execute and do the will of the people. There is no job title or description for a council person. So I know the function is to review and pass legislation and rezoning, and also to pass the budget that the mayor submits, which is made up of the multiple different metro departments. So my job is to do the will of the people and bring them into the table so we can have a discussion about matters that include passing or rezoning and any matters that's going to impact their quality of life. That's what I believe one of the roles of a council person is.
Okay, this next question is for Joy, Rob, and Ruby in that order. If elected, what are your top 3 priorities? Joy?
One would be community meetings, speaking with, interacting with, and talking to the community. That's very important for me. Something else I would like to do is establish a leadership group that's composed of different people from the different areas of District 1 that may be able to represent some ideas, concerns, or whatever in their community. Not that that would be the end-all, be-all, but at least there would be someone that would bring it to the table. I also would like to help those or assist those that would like to keep certain areas rural. But at the same time, I also would like growth, smart growth in the areas that want it, especially, I guess, like the greater Bordeaux area, who over the years have been deprived of good businesses, good restaurants, those sort of things. But I realize we need the infrastructure.
1, Jolton. We have a safety issue. We have a water pressure issue. We have more black cap fire hydrants than any place else in the city. So if we have a fire at Jolton Elementary, we don't know what the devastation will be caused. So the main thing is getting a pumping station, a water pumping station in Jolton. $3.6 million out of a $3.2 billion budget. Second, to work with our school board member to reopen our schools. We have Jolton Middle, we have Robert E. Lillard, by the way, which is the only only school in our district that is named after a black person. So that is important, and it has been Kings Lane throughout my life, so be care about that. And then the third thing is we want to make sure that the communication is always going between us.
Thank you. If you don't mind, can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What are your top 3 priorities for District 1?
My first priority is my principles are people, preservation, and progress. In order for me to start reviewing District 1, I first need to have community engagement. We have been disconnected for some time. For the last several months, I've surveyed District 1, I've canvassed District 1, I've identified 30 neighborhoods in District 1, but we only hear about a few. Most of them, the very top thing that was on the top of their list was community engagement. They want to know what's going on, and they want to be involved in any matters that's impacting their neighborhood, which they have not been. So community engagement is one of my primary focuses, along with infrastructure. I've identified 9 different types of infrastructure. The main one is stormwater, and my last piece is smart growth and equitable and sustainable development.
Thank you so much. While we've been able to get a few minutes in, I want to remind you the basket is going around to pay for those beautiful blue signs that you see out there. This question goes to Rob, Ruby, Joy, and Timothy. The Metro Council has 11 committees that meet outside of regular council meetings. What do you see is the role of the committees? Which committees do you plan to sit on to represent District 1 and why? Rob, Ruby, Joy, then Timothy. You have 30 seconds.
So I plan to work on the budget committee because the budget committee is where all of the power is. The budget committee determines where the money is spent. We have to get in the capital budget to make sure that we are progressing and that our tax dollars are coming back to District 1.
I too am interested in the budget committee, because I believe we have a right to sit at the table and speak about how Metro is spending our funding. And as a council representative, I'm representing the district, and I want to make sure we are at the table, because I was told if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. But anyway, also the other committee, I want to focus on infrastructure and stormwater, because it is very outdated all throughout our district, but I will serve on any committee that is assigned to me.
Joy?
If appointed, I too would like the budgeting, because we have been pretty much abandoned when it comes to the money. We've been overlooked when it comes to the money. So if appointed, yes, that would be something. But regardless of where I end up, I will always remember my community and serve my community wherever it is. I may be able to pull a little money out of wherever I am, but I'm sorry. Okay, but budgeting is where I would like to be.
I would like to work with zoning, and I would like to work with conservation, because those are the issues that our district are facing right now. Is conserving our Highland Rim area that we're affected by in 3/4 of our district. Also in conjunction, I would also like to work on the community program, where I can work directly with the community to making sure that we have what we need in our community in terms of the participatory budget, as well as the other budgets.
Candidates, when you see Michelle raise her hand, that means you have 5 seconds.
Okay, this next question is for Rob, Joy, and Sean, in that order. Many of you on the campaign trail have boasted what you have done for the larger Nashville community. The question now is, what have you done to improve the quality of life in District 1 specifically? You have 60 seconds.
In 2019, I, along with Vincent Dixie, started a group called Nashville North Collaborative. We have a school supply re-up where we give out backpacks, 1,000 backpacks with supplies in January of the year. We've also done a Get Out the Vote drive where we showed Marshall the Thurgood Marshall story during the pandemic. We had that going through people's car speakers so we could encourage people to get out and vote, because we know civic engagement is so important to who we are as a people.
I believe the task I've taken on, not to report here because I didn't have any idea I'd be asked this, but I think my service to the aging community around me, like I said, I've been there over 50 years myself. So we have a lot of people in my area that are like in their 80s, 90s. We even have some like Ms. Hudson that's over 100. So I think my service to them, I'm proud of my service to them. I'm talking about things like taking the trash cans back, or if the trash cans taken, calling and helping them out so that they won't be stressed. Little things that aren't a lot to us mean a lot to people who are older. So I mean going to the store for people, or just calling and checking on them. Sometimes they just want someone to talk to. 5 seconds, I'm sorry. But my service to the aging community, I'm proud of that.
It's a really great question. For me, I've been involved pretty deeply with the population of folks returning from incarceration. We have a great many of them that reside in District 1. I've helped them all over the city, particularly gaining employment and helping them keep employment, taking them to work, driving them to work, bringing them work boots and clothes, you name it. And again, not just in District 1, but a great many of them reside here. In addition, every year what my wife and I do is we do a clothing drive and a food drive that we support organizations like the Nashville Rescue Mission, and we also deliver food. We also provide food to the Second Harvest Food Bank and coordinate donations and things like that on an annual basis.
Thank you. We're next going to ask a question about transparency. And this is going to all candidates. Council members often assert community support for projects without presenting the actual feedback they receive. This discrepancy is noticeable when a majority of individuals at community meetings express opposition, but the council member claims substantial support during the Planning Commission or council proceedings. Will you commit to openly sharing community feedback on proposals, and how do you plan to ensure transparency in this regard? Sean, Tim, Rob, Ruby, and then Joy.
This is such an important question and cuts to the heart of the reason why I'm in this campaign and why I'm running, is because I feel that there has been a crisis of a lack of trust with our leadership in council recently, and I believe that it starts with community opinion for what is ultimately going to affect us all. And if we don't have accurate representation of the way that the community feels about one project or the other, then we've lost, because this is our neighborhood. It's not, we can't let these developers come in here and do what they want and leave us holding the bag. We have got to get something out of this. And I see all too often these projects get rammed through without community oversight and input. A lot of times these things happen and you look up and it's already built and you didn't have a say in it at all because you weren't aware that it was happening. And if I'm elected to council, that will end swiftly. Thank you.
I would like to say big kudos to District 1 United organization for being a part of this district, because you guys have been very informative in terms of what's going on in the district, in terms of zoning and ideas that have come up in the regard as far as what's going on in the district. And just like District 1 United on Facebook and the website has been very informative. I've been inundated with emails coming from constituents who've said they've been opposing to the Cato Road process, and the type of information that has come from the community has shown me the involvement that the community has in terms of wanting to be a part of the change that's going on in this community, which I think is a wonderful thing. So thank you, District 1 United, for doing that. And with that being said, I think it's a wonderful thing that we have constituents that care about the community, that this is our community. And I have an open door policy to hear and listen to each and every one of us in terms of what our regards are for this district.
Since the very beginning of my campaign, I've been talking about TAC: transparency, accessibility, accountability, and communication. I've already started to put the wheels in motion. I have a viable newsletter that's going on right now. I have a QR code in the front. So if you want access to a District 1 newsletter, that information is already available to you. It comes out every 2 weeks. Secondly, I have a very robust website. I keep that updated. We keep the information flowing to you. You can sign up for that as well. Additionally, we have a podcast that is available via YouTube, Facebook, and also on our website. So we've tried to make communication and transparency the heart of this campaign.
The answer is yes. I will be transparent to who those individuals are that express support or opposition to any legislation or rezoning or whatever matters. Because when you take on this position as a council person, everything is transparent. Your personal phone number, everything is transparent. And so to answer your question, it is yes. I will reveal or encourage them to support online so we can thoroughly track their response. But a lot of times some of the response are sent anonymous. But then I'm sure there's still way to track it because it is public information. And to answer your question, yes, anyone that voices opposition or support to any legislation or matter, I will make sure it is transparent.
I absolutely will be transparent. I believe communication, honesty, and transparency are very important. We were just here a couple of nights ago, and I was able to see how easy it is for a person in a position to manipulate the community. As distasteful as it is very easy to do because you just give the bits and parts of information you want to, and then you twist facts. It's easy to manipulate the community. So I want to make sure I'm always extremely honest, extremely transparent, regardless of how I feel, because it's a community that we share together. And I have to be able to respect your wishes and what you want. But I never want to be that person. I know I won't be that person who manipulates to get what I want instead of what the people want. So, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to conclude this portion of the forum about the role of the council member with a lightning round question for each candidate. And we'll start with Joy at the end and work our way down. The question is, if a developer's application is disapproved by the Planning Commission, will you continue to push the bill to council?
It depends on what my community wants. It just depends. I'm going to do what the community wants.
Thank you.
It really depends on the reason that the bill was disapproved by the Planning Commission. So, I mean, you can't universally say that until you know why it was disapproved.
Could you repeat that question for me one more time?
If a developer's application is disapproved by the Planning Commission, will you continue to push the bill through council?
No, I won't.
I would need more information. There's all kinds of reasons why that may have happened, and I would want to review that specifically with regards to community involvement and input. So,
My answer is no, because we work very hard on the Nashville Next process, and I trust that we trust what the planning staff recommends is what's best and in line with what we supported during the Nashville Next process. Now, does that mean that we need to have community meetings? We should have had community meetings before it got to that point. So my question is no, and I'm not going to try to fight it on the council floor if it can be resolved before it get there.
Thank you. This next set of questions are about specific, recent, and upcoming issues. This first question is about affordable housing. All candidates will answer this question. You will have 60 seconds each. Nashville's affordable housing shortage makes it difficult for professionals like teachers, police officers, firefighters to live here. MDHA recently passed legislation for affordable housing construction, primarily to be concentrated in Bordeaux. What are your thoughts around affordable housing? How do you plan to vote on this bill that will be one of the first that'll come to you? And do you believe it is the optimal use of TIF public spending to do affordable housing concentrated in Bordeaux? I'm sorry, you have 90 seconds for that. 90 seconds. All candidates will answer. We'll begin with Tim, then Rob, Joy, Ruby, and Sean. Tim?
I think affordable housing is a great thing, of course, but I don't think it's a great thing for District 1 because I think with the land mass and the population of District 1, I think what happens is we want to preserve our property value. We don't want to be inundated with affordable housing from the perspective of that it lowers the value of our community properties. Now, if the affordable housing that they're choosing to put and build in our district, if it is in conjunction with raising the standard of living that we have set for this district, then of course it will be considered. But for the most part, I'm not totally for affordable housing if it's not in the regard of helping to preserve the asset that this district has, which is their property.
So, I'm going to answer this question in many different ways, but first I want to start by saying that we need to look at the 2017 MDHA study that says District 1, 2, and 3 are at 34% of the poverty rate. That means people in our district are, already in affordable housing because they don't have the ability to pay. So, it also says that you shouldn't have more than 30% of your residents above 30% of the poverty level. So what we need to understand is affordable housing is great, but we need to distribute it throughout the city. The city owns a lot of real estate throughout the county. And don't bring it all to one place, because what you do is you create concentrated pockets of poverty, which breed, crime, which breed, things that are not conducive to us uplifting this community, which we have asked for years. Don't give us your dumps. Don't give us your prisons. Don't give us everything that you don't want. Come to us and ask us about the things we want, and that's what I'm going to demand.
Hold your applause.
Am I next? I believe that with the question itself, I would have to make several assumptions. It's not really specific enough, and it includes several different topics. But affordable housing in of itself is not a bad word. We have people that go to work every day that can't afford to live in Nashville and are driven out. There are people that say if I sold my house, I couldn't afford to buy it back. So there are many people, professionals, that need affordable housing. I do believe that everybody should bear the burden or take a part in trying to help people with housing. I myself have done it. I've done it. I have houses that I rent out in West Nashville, East Nashville, South Nashville, and North Nashville. I've done that myself, and I try to make it affordable. I don't try to hit people in the head with the price. I try to make it affordable because I think it's important. And we've got to be concerned about each other. We've got to be concerned about each other. We can't say scary words like affordable housing and everybody run. That's your sister, your brother, your neighbor. I don't think affordable housing is bad, but I think everybody needs to kind of contribute and put in with that. So that's my response.
It's me? Okay, that question had a couple of parts, and it's not easy to get into detail with 90 seconds. But my response to affordable housing, the way I understand affordable housing is based on your income, what you can afford. There are 3 tiers of affordable housing that I understand: low income, workforce housing, and market rate housing. Some can afford a $2,000 a month mortgage, and some cannot. So in my mind, it's related to your income, what you are earning. And that is how I see affordable housing. So yes, it can be spread about, because some incomes, when you put a market rate housing there, it could gentrify the neighborhood and raise the property taxes of some seniors or those that may not be able to afford the property tax increase. So it takes a deep discussion when you talk about affordable housing, because there are multiple layers. And as far as this recent legislation that just passed, it was deferred, but MDHA periodically assessed and reviewed the activities in the redevelopment district, which is the Board of Redevelopment District, that we sat at the table on during several meetings to make sure we were included. And it does include it does include workforce housing that was named after Senator Thelma Harper. So this legislation was deferred, and we will pick it up once I resume office.
Well, I think if you live in Nashville, it's hard not to talk about affordable housing. It's a big issue for all of us, and you hear the mayoral candidates talking about it constantly, and it's something that we definitely need to address. And for me, I know that there's a shortage, and one thing that I do know is that we must have our professionals, our first responders, our teachers, to be able to afford to live in Nashville. If we start losing these valuable people to other counties because they can no longer afford to live here, then we've lost a lot. We've lost quite a bit. So for me, when we talk about affordable housing, I think more about attainable housing and workforce housing. I see that as something that has multi-level effects if we don't put into place, because we'll lose so much of our first responders and teachers and valuable members of our community that need to stay put. And, you know, as far as the concentration in Bordeaux, I don't like things being concentrated in Bordeaux, because we all have collective trauma from the dump coming here, from the prisons coming here, and it just seems like we're always getting dumped on. That's just my feeling about it. And I'm very hesitant about that. You know, I would have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. If it does include some of this workforce housing, then I might be a little bit more sympathetic to it. But, you know, it all depends. And on first glance, I'm against it.
Thank you. I will say this. Our friend to District 1, Councilman Bob Mendez, got the legislation deferred, but it is one of the first bills that our new council person will have to grapple with.
Okay, this next question is specifically for Joy. As a civil rights attorney, you've had some cases against Metro Nashville Police Department. As a council member, what will be your relationship with the police department as it relates to keeping District 1 safe? You have 60 seconds.
I have had a couple of cases against Metro Police, as well as other civil rights violators. Not against Metro Police for doing their job, but for not doing their job, that resulted in wrongful deaths, that have resulted in convictions and prosecution of the police officers. So that's not just your average police officer. But I understand as a council member, I'll have to deal and interact with several departments and the fire department, police department, several departments throughout Metro I have to deal with. But I think this is important to know. I was a police officer. I was a police officer. And I know what a good officer is and what a good officer should do. So we're not talking about you filed because they wrote someone a ticket or slammed the door, said a bad word. We're talking about wrongful deaths that resulted in multi-million-dollar judgments. So it's not just me. Metro itself thought it was wrong and paid out.
Thank you. This next question has to do with vision, particularly around the Old Bordeaux Hospital property. This question goes to Rob, Joy, then Ruby. You have 30 seconds. What is your vision for the Old Bordeaux Hospital property? Rob?
So that is a property where we can have a beautiful mixed-use development that centers on healthcare and tech, two things that are coming to our city in droves. But we also can have, we can have restaurants and we can have, entertainment. But that is acres and acres of land that is ripe for us to really have a beautiful new development.
I am hesitant to say what my vision is because I've promised to always consider the community. And I'm not going to impose anything I want or I think or how it should be or what's best without consulting the community. I'm going to be a community servant. I'm going to consult the community. And from there, I'll make a decision.
Well, I surveyed the community, and I talked with the neighbors, and I talked with those that were not in Bordeaux. The Bordeaux Hospital in and of itself was built in the 1800s. I did the research on the hospital, and even back in the 1800s, it was named Davidson County Asylum and Poorhouse. So we can see some long-term history that has been happening undercurrent there. So the neighbors got together and we created a vision of what we'd like to see happen that includes redevelopment along the Cumberland River.
Thank you. This next question, please listen closely. You'll have 60 seconds to answer. It'll be going to Timothy, Sean, Rob, Ruby, Joy. After having just engineered the largest ever public subsidy for a new NFL stadium, Nashville is considering funding a new speedway at the fairgrounds with an estimated cost of $116 million or more. The project would be financed entirely by public funds, posing a financial risk to the city's finances because the ability to service the debt will depend on the success of the new facility over the 30-year life of the lease. What are your thoughts about using public funds for private corporations' playgrounds? And how do you plan to vote on this major bill that will be before you this fall? I will add this caveat: the owners are not investing any money. We'll begin with Timothy, Sean, Rob, Ruby, then Joy.
I'm not favorable of this project due to the fact that when we have other issues in our community where we just talked about affordable housing and things like that that need to be spread across the county, I don't think that we need to be focusing on public funds spent to a racetrack that we already have a racetrack that we need to be utilized. It's underutilized. The Nashville Speedway is underutilized. I think we need to use that property for other development that can be conducive to the city versus another speedway. I don't think it's fair that the public has to spend another $116 million on a project that does not benefit us personally. Is it going to make our taxes go down? Is it going to make our property taxes go down? Is it going to help us in any avenue that we can gain as a community from that being here? Or is it just going to cost us dollars continually to spend out? I'm not for it. I'm totally against it because it's not developing our city.
So it's hard for me to even wrap my head around why this was even a proposal. I would be happy if elected to council to vote this down. When these corporations come in and don't put any skin in the game, that's your first red flag. That is a hard no from me. And when you talk about NASCAR in general, my understanding is that there's no guarantee when you talk about 30 years of NASCAR, that NASCAR is going to maintain the kind of likability, enthusiasm, especially in a brand new market like Nashville, that doesn't have a NASCAR racetrack already. It seems like a terrible idea. And really the fact that this is even being tells you everything you need to know about what's going on in city government. Thank you.
My answer is no. We should not fund this project. And I'm going to tell you a couple of things. First of all, NASCAR is built on being able to go out before and after and during and tailgate. We don't even have enough room for Nashville SC for people to park. So it doesn't seem like it would be a viable project. So if we don't think it's going to be a viable project and then we're on the hook for its success, I don't think that we can in any way support this project. And I think that we need to look at having enough parking for Nashville SC first before we think about anything else.
Thank you. My position would be after we've had several community meetings so that I can get a consensus of what the district wants. Because we can assume everybody says no, but there are some that are in support. And as a council representative, I have to listen to both sides and give everybody an opportunity to at least explain their position so that I can make sure I take a position that's best for the district, given the fact that we gotta have community meetings so we can thoroughly vet the project, because there may be some parts that may be beneficial. I don't want to say no right off the top without having community meetings to get this consensus of the district and how they feel about it. So we will have several. I've already had 250 community meetings. I am one to make sure people are at the table in the discussion. So for this, before I say no, I want to hear what the community has to say, which means roll up your sleeve. We're going to have several meetings to talk about it.
No.
Candidates, I asked you to listen closely to the question, what are your thoughts about using public funds for private corporations' playgrounds? The next question, however, is this, 30 seconds. Tell us something that you learned on the campaign trail about District 1 that you did not know before. You have 30 seconds. Sean, Ruby, Tim, Joy, then Rob.
Well, I've learned a lot about this district on the campaign trail. One of the big highlights for me has been learning about some of the history, the history of the slave trade and the Native American history, especially around the Whites Creek area. That has been tremendously impactful to me, and just as a native Nashvilleian, understanding a little bit more about that history has also edified, how I feel about living here, and it's been really nice to learn more about that.
Thank you.
What I've learned about District 1 is that we have at least 30 different neighborhoods in District 1. We have several lakes, streams, and rivers. I've also identified at least 6 different communities. You have people, you have neighborhoods, and you have communities. The people are very diverse, whether it's color or living arrangement, housing styles. I have learned that District 1 is very, very diverse. And I plan to work with each community so that you will not lose your individuality.
Thank you. Candidates, I asked you to listen closely to the question, what are your thoughts about using public funds for private corporations' playgrounds? The next question, however, is this, 30 seconds. Tell us something that you learned on the campaign trail about District 1 that you did not know before. You have 30 seconds. Sean, Ruby, Tim, Joy, then Rob.
My answer is no.
I've learned a lot about District 1. One of the main things that I've learned is how far apart we are in our district, how we need to be more united together and meeting our needs as a district and understanding what it takes to have a neighborhood and a strong district. Our district is so far apart. We have 4 different major concerns. We are one of the districts that have suburban, urban, rural areas, and we all are so far apart in terms of our issues. And as a matter of fact, we need to come together. That's what I've learned about District 1, and that will be my primary focus.
So I grew up in this community and played basketball at the Northwest YMCA, and right down the street is Scottsboro. And I didn't know that at one point there was a ferry that went from Scottsboro downtown. So, you know, there are so many hidden jewels in this community, so many takeaways that we can find out about if we just take an opportunity to get outside of our comfort zone and explore our own neighborhoods.
I learned that there are a lot of wonderful things going on in District 1. I was just surprised and amazed, and I think it's such a beautiful thing. There are areas in District 1 where they grow food and feed people. One was Faith Farms. They had a big event in Faith Farms in Jolton. They grow their own food and then they give it away. The people that are there are volunteers. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. They have this farm. The scenery is beautiful. The people are great, and they give away food.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Last question before we go to audience participation. So audience, please get your questions ready. At this time, in a most respectful manner, each candidate has the opportunity to ask one question of a candidate of your choice. The question should be specific. The candidate then will have 60 seconds to answer the question. So each candidate is going to ask one other candidate one specific question. The candidate answering has 60 seconds to answer the question in the most respectful manner. We're going to begin with Rob. Whom will you ask your question to?
I believe I'll ask Tim.
Ask your question.
Tim, I've really enjoyed meeting you over these last few months, and I want to know how you feel being a barber has prepared you for this position.
Me being a barber has prepared me significantly because I've had the opportunity to communicate with those people and from the community. I've communicated with elders and different people like that that have come into my barbershop, and I've met several people in my barbershop from the community, and they've expressed their concerns. And through them expressing their concerns is primarily the reason why I'm here today and I'm running for councilperson, because they've disclosed to me the need for leadership in our community. And they thought that I would be a great candidate to lead the way for them. And that is the reason why I'm here.
Thank you. Joy, who will you ask your question to? We're going to come back to you. Ruby, who will you ask your question to? This is a think on your feet question.
It is.
Who will you ask your question to?
My thing is trying to pick who I want to ask, because I have a question for everyone up here.
Sean,
I'm going to
who will you
direct-
ask your
no.
question to?
I'm going to ask my question to Joy. And I heard you make a statement before that you have reduced your workload so you could focus on the council. But you then came back and said, but I'm not giving up cases. If there is another high-profile civil rights case, will you put District 1 on the back burner while you focus on that. God forbid it's another Daniel Hambrick or Jarquise Williams, and that takes all of your demanding time. So if you are elected as council representative, will you put District 1 on the back burner and focus on another high-profile case?
Joy, you have 60 seconds to answer.
Okay, it's Jacquees Clemens. Okay. I would not ask District 1 to elect me and then put them on the back burner. I haven't ever done that with anybody, any client, anyone. I think my track record speaks for itself. I would never do something like that. I said I have greatly reduced, which means I have not stopped. And I was thinking not of civil rights cases. There are a lot of people with mental health problems that wind up in the judicial system, and they shouldn't be there. And sometimes their attorneys don't properly represent them. I have found myself in that situation. Everybody knows mental health is my weak spot. And so there are times for free that I will step in and represent someone with mental health issues that has no business in the criminal justice system. They just don't get proper representation.
Thank you. Joy, who will you ask your question to?
Ruby. Ruby, recently on the campaign disclosure statements, someone or some developer mysteriously decided you of all people, they would donate to you. And you claimed that I didn't know and I immediately returned it. Have there been other times that you accepted money from developers that you did not return? And why, under any circumstances, would you accept money from Waste Management, under any circumstance?
Waste Management is not a developer, and that was Metro's landfill. And Waste Management won the contract to be able to manage the landfill. So our argument should be towards Metro for putting the landfill in Bordeaux. So Waste Management has other different avenues, other different organizations. And so, yes, we received that because it was from Waste Management during the May 2010 flood when everybody received it. And so this developer recently, Mr. Haworth, Chip Haworth, gave me a donation because he felt I was the best candidate and wanted to do something that he thought could help me get elected. And I said no. I said, no, I work for the people, because anybody that see your donation would assume you bought me, and you do not buy me. So yes, I returned it, and any money from developers should be returned. But there was someone in Chip's camp that gave a donation that was not returned, not me.
Thank you. Tim, who will you ask your question to?
I would like to ask my question to Joy. Joy, you during the campaign, you talked about what you've done throughout the city and the district, the city of Nashville and the county of Nashville. What have you done recently that has directly affected District 1 within the last 6 to 12 months?
Since I started with campaigning specifically, and let me start by saying I jumped in late. I jumped in May, so we're talking like within the last 2 months. Within the last 2 months, going out, knocking on doors, I've had somebody call me for a will. I did the will. I had someone call and ask me, in District 1, I had somebody call and ask me to assist their mentally ill child. I took care of it. I had someone call and ask me, well, that's too personal. But there have been at least four cases that people have called me about and asked me to help them in District 1, and I've taken care of it. That's what I've done, because when you help one person or one child or whatever, you're helping everybody. You're helping everybody. So those are some things I have done within the last 2 months.
Sean, who would you ask your question to?
I'm not gonna let Rob get away with just sitting there and nobody asking Rob anything. Come on, y'all. All right. So, as a political outsider myself, I pride myself on that. Rob is not a political outsider. He's worked in the mayor's office for a very long time. And even beyond just being a candidate, as a citizen and as a resident of the district, I'm concerned about the influence of that environment. And so what can you reassure the community? How can you reassure the community that you will remain 100% for the residents of District 1 and above the fray when it comes to hobnobbing with all the rest of the muckety-mucks in downtown?
So first of all, let me say that we represent, as a family, probably 30 households in District 1. So I have my Uncle Dwayne back there. I have my wife. I have people, one of my best friends, Vincent Dixie, was here for just a second. So I'm accountable to all of these people. I know, and I grew up here, so I'm accountable to the community. I'm part of the community. So I know that you feel like, hey, he's been in these positions and, you know, people know him, but that is not a negative. That helps you. When you need a department head to speak, I know that department head. When you need to talk to one of the mayoral candidates, I know most of the mayoral candidates. I was also the city council liaison for the mayor's office, which means that I am not going to meet any of the candidates. I know them. They're my friends, and I'm ready, day one.
Thank you. Did everyone get an opportunity to ask a question? Excellent, excellent. One question we just need to go back to that we skipped over somehow. The role of council member is part-time. The question is, what is your main source of income? To answer the question, we're asking it to Sean, Tim, and Rob.
Thank you for the question. My main source of income comes from construction staffing and workforce development and building apprenticeship programs in the trades. That's my W-2s are very simple. I file with TurboTax. It takes me like 15 minutes, so it's very uncomplicated. That's where my revenue comes from.
I've been a master barber for over 30 years. I've been an event planner over 20 years. My business, where I live, I host events, and I am a barber that I've been proficient in for the last 12 years at that location. That's my primary source of income.
I work for the Tennessee Department of Corrections. I'm a procurement officer. I got my master's degree from Tennessee State University, and I majored in supply chain. So I was very familiar with that procurement thing. And like I said, I left Metro and took a pay cut in order to run for this position. So my commitment is clear, and I'm ready to work for you, day one.
Since we left the question off, we've decided we're going to go ahead and ask Joy to answer the question as well as Ruby. What is the role of council member is part-time. What is your main source of income?
I just recently retired from working for the state of Tennessee after 18 years with finance and administration, and then that makes a culmination of 43 years that I've been employed. So I have Social Security, pension, I'm not ashamed. I have Social Security and pension, and I retired so I could enjoy, but then when it came up and I was called to work to run for council, I opted to run for council because I have time to dedicate to this position.
Thank you so much. At this time, we're going to ask, oh, Joy, I'm so sorry.
Don't you all forget me at home. Okay. All right. My main source of income, of course, is my law practice. But like I said, I've had success in some very good lucrative cases, and it has allowed me to take that money and invest it elsewhere. And I've now, like Ruby stated, I've stopped taking on new cases unless it's mental health and I want to do it, so that I can serve my community. I really want to epitomize what a community servant is. I want to be available, accessible. I've given everybody my phone number. That's how they're able to call me now. But my main source of income was my law practice, but now it's investments.
Thank you. We understand that most of all the council persons have jobs that they work. And so thank you. We just wanted to make sure there was a source of income. Now we're going to ask everyone to just kind of take a deep breath, stretch, and now our neighbors of District 1, it is your time to ask questions. So we're going to ask, if you have a question, to line up on each side of the sanctuary. And Floyd Morrell is coming with his mic. And do we have another mic? All the mics are going out. Okay, Floyd is coming with his mic. It don't look like we're going to have a handful. Well, then people.
Okay.
Can we get some waters up here too? I'm fresh.
Oh, you drank all your water? Yes. And there's a bottle right there. We got you. We got you. We're taking care. Oh, you gonna go down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, as Floyd is coming down, we have people lined up on each side. How many mics do we have up there with the candidates?
No.
So we have questions from the audience, but we also have questions that have come in online that we're going to get you to answer. Now, want you to remember this is on YouTube Live. This is on YouTube Live, and so your answers, your responses are being recorded because we want to make sure that in District 1 that we have accountability. So when whoever is elected, we can go back and say, but at that meeting you said ... Is that good? Okay, so Floyd Morrell is coming now with the question.
Okay. These are the rules. We want you to be respectful and brief, because other people will be waiting also to ask their questions. And please do not ask redundant questions. If it's been voiced before, just let it pass. You have 30 seconds to ask the question, and the candidate will have 60 seconds to answer the question. Okay, the first, timekeeper, you ready? Yes. So after 20 minutes, we will cut it off at 7:25. Okay, first question. Step up to the mic, Miss Gina.
Good evening. Gina Coleman, Haynes Park Neighborhood Association. My question is this: only one person can win. My question, I've asked this several times over the years. If you do not win, are you going to go away? We look at you as loving the people, and if you meet the needs of the people, it's going to be a successful 4 years. So if your ambitions are different from that, we're looking for someone that's going to bring solutions, that's going to come up with ideas, that's going to bring the collective body together, and as Tim said, unite us. So what I want to know, only one person can quit. I have enjoyed every one of you guys. I've enjoyed all your answers. I think you're all good. So are you going to support each other, or are you just going to go away? Because see, this work I've been doing for 20 years, it's been a thankless job. So what I want to know is, are you going to go away?
Okay, that's your time, Gina.
I'll start with
Each candidate has 30 seconds to answer.
Okay, I'll start with that. 4 years ago, I worked with community leaders to form the Nashville North Collaborative. We continue to do work on a yearly / bi-yearly basis. So we're giving out backpacks, we're doing get out the vote drives, we're doing family days. And so no, I will support whomever gets this position, but I will also continue to support the community as a whole.
Thank you. Let's just go down the line. Joy?
Okay. I would support whoever gets it if they will receive it. We've had a councilman that was not very receiving of support. So on my end, especially now since I've stopped taking, my caseload has decreased significantly. Yes, I would love to be involved. I've done this so I can be a public servant. If allowed, I can only do as much as they'll let me do as far as assisting someone.
Ruby?
No, I will not go away. I ran in 2015, I did not get elected. I ran in 2018 and I did not get elected. I did not go away. This is what I was called to
Sean?
do.
We're all in this together, y'all. And so, win or lose, this has been the honor of my life running for this office. And what brings me comfort, and I've done a lot of events with this group, is I'm gonna sleep pretty good at night, whoever wins up here. And that's a good feeling to have. So if you couldn't read between the lines on that answer, I would be happy to lend my support to whoever wins, but hopefully it will be me.
Timothy?
I'll continue to support. I've supported not only just myself in this candidacy, but previous candidates, that have run for this position. I've also supported all of the candidates who ran for the last 4 to 8 years in this district, and I will continue moving forward to support and be involved with what goes on in this district.
Okay, next question.
Hello, my name is Michael Lee. I don't think this question has been asked, but what do you feel the greatest need is for District 1, and how do you feel that can be accomplished, and what would you do?
Let's start with Joy.
I think one of the greatest needs, and it's actually our little slogan, is we are one. I think uniting the district and District 1 really becoming one, and that has to start with communication. I don't want to downplay communication and community meetings. I think that's very important, input from the community, the entire community.
I've said it before, TAC, transparency, accountability, accessibility, and communication. These are the things that I promised to you. I have a website, I have a newsletter, and I have a podcast. These are things that continue to create a fluid communication between us and the community. And please, yes, let's have more community meetings because they're important.
Uniting the district is very important to me, and it's very instrumental in creating our voice. We need our voice back, and we need our voice back together so that better together we are. And one can put 1,000 to flight, 2 can put 10,000 to flight. We have a large district in our area, and we all need to come together to be one voice, united, and speak. We may not always agree on every single thing, but as long as we communicate together and have some differences, but also be a collective, we can get things done.
I mostly agree with everything that has been said so far on this topic, but to add to that, we have got to have greater representation and a seat at the table. We need to fight for what we need, because if we don't, they will continue to backburner us. They will continue to put us off. And so we need to fight. We have got to fight for what we deserve in District 1.
I too agree with everything that was said up here, but the main thing I believe we need as a District 1 is a vision, because without a vision, we are perishing. And I'm not quoting scripture on you. I'm just saying what's true. You have a vision for your own personal life, goals, where you want to go and what you want to do. District 1 needs a vision. We need to come together with community meetings, and we need to create a vision of what we want to see happen in our neighborhoods and in our community. That's what's going to make our voice strong.
Thank you. Next question.
My name is John Johnson, and I just recently moved this area a few years ago. Developed about 40,000 units of housing with the state across the area. The acronym of workforce housing now is a catchword. It's actually a catchword for once it's developed, being the developer does it as workforce housing, but then it turns into low-income housing later on once the management has changed. What is all of you all's assessment of concentration of workforce housing? We got a problem with about 2,000 units being built right on Clarksville Highway or proposing.
Okay, we'll start with you, Ruby.
Thank you for that question. And I believe the SP, which is a zoning that it's like what they present is what they have to develop. And if they lose their funding and another developer comes in, what the community was offered is what has to be built. If the community is at the table of discussion with the developer, then the community has a say in the workforce housing, whether it's market rate or low income. And I don't have time to get into details. Thanks.
I agree with what Ruby is saying. You can't bait and switch people like that. If you build something as workforce housing, which we desperately need, that's not just for a few years and then it changes hands and then all of a sudden you've got this other thing that nobody agreed to. I think that if that's going on, then that is a big problem and it needs to be addressed.
I believe in doing deals, the deal is done up front. You put all of your options on the table up front and make sure that the hard questions and difficult answers are answered up front as much as possible prior to making a decision later on. Workforce housing can possibly be a great thing, but if we don't hash out the questions and hash out the needs and the concerns of that early on, they cannot be answered.
So let me say first, I believe in our teachers. I'm married to one. I believe in our police and fire. I'm also have been endorsed by the police union. But I believe that affordable and workforce housing needs to be equally distributed throughout throughout Metro Nashville, not just in one particular area.
I said this earlier, I do believe that we need affordable housing throughout the county, and I don't think it's a bad word. I think it's something we need, and like I said, I do it myself. I go in different areas. I have White Ridge Road, East Nashville, right on McFerrin and Seymour. I have different places where I try to make the housing affordable throughout. So I'm not just talking about it, I'm really about it.
Okay, next.
Infrastructure is being set all around Nashville. In many of these areas, the infrastructure is not developed to support a few of the levels of affordable housing that were mentioned on the panel today. But as you drive over the bridge here into Bordeaux, it is clear that the infrastructure that has been put into place over the years is to support the very economic projects that we don't want here, hence the Bordeaux redevelopment plan for 2015 as one of them. My question, do you have a plan, and this is for anybody who would like to answer, do you have a plan to help upgrade Bordeaux's infrastructure so it will be more appealing to higher quality businesses, housing, entertainment, etc., and not more liquor stores, smoke shops, Family Dollars, Dollar Generals, fast food, gas stations, car washes, and rent-to-own stores.
We're going to ask candidate Rob Harris to answer that question. We'll ask Sean Daly to answer that question, and Ruby Baker.
So first, we need to understand the way that Metro Planning makes its decisions. They operate off what's called a heat map. So that means that if you're getting projects, then you are going to get the dollars to back that. So you have to start getting motion in your community. So what I plan to do in order to get that motion and to get the right things going is to have an advisory committee. I've been part of Quante Toombs advisory committees for the last 4 years.
30 seconds. Thank you.
John. That's a really great question, and it's one of the big reasons why I joined the campaign, because I live in this neighborhood and I see a missed opportunity. I see missed opportunities all over the place, and my plan would be to maximize our assets, and one of the biggest assets that I see are our green spaces. We can concentrate residential density around these green spaces like the other neighborhoods do, like Radnor Lake and others. That is going to bring people here, and we would become a destination instead of a bedroom neighborhood where we go everywhere else.
Thank you so much. Ms. Ruby?
Okay, the redevelopment district was designed to spur economic development. Neighborhoods were involved in the planning during the redevelopment district and was able to list any specific activities that they did not want to see in that development zone. And so the other piece of the infrastructure is the community needs to be at the table, because if a development is happening here and the infrastructure is weak in the neighborhood, then the water is just going to flow to the neighborhood and continue to flood. So the community will be at the table with any development discussion that it won't come out at the back end.
Thank you. Next question? Oh, okay. We'll let our elder go first.
My name is Walter Holloway. I am the second vice chair of the Oversight Board. None of you have said anything about the Oversight Board or what they're trying to do to it. One of y'all will be elected and have the opportunity to voice your opinion about the Oversight Board. What do you think about it?
In 30 seconds, we're going to ask Joy, Tim, and Sean to answer this question.
I think the Oversight Board is absolutely needed. I was there when they began it. I was there before it was even on the ballot, trying to get it on the ballot. I was out collecting signatures along with Sekou Franklin, Jacola, Anna Hayes. It was a big group of us before we even knew it was going to make it to the ballot, just trying to get it on the ballot. So I have a lot of respect for the Oversight Board. I do police cases. I know the Oversight Board is needed. So I'm sorry I haven't mentioned it, but it's important.
The Oversight Board is very important to me because I was an applicant for the Oversight Board. I did not make it, but I was an applicant, and I was very concerned with the fact of hearing and understanding the concerns of the community in the barbershop in terms of how the police brutality was taking place and the people had no voice. The Oversight Board, I believe, was designed to give the people a voice to have input on the common character of the police department and how it administers its job. So it's very necessary.
Thank you.
I've answered this question before, or a similar question, and I thank you for posing it. I say by any means necessary, we need to get that power back for a couple reasons. Not just because it's the right thing to do, but because we voted for it. What we asked for and voted for in a democratic process, we should be able to keep without another entity taking it away from us. There's something terribly wrong about that in principle. And so because of that reason, we've got to do everything we can to grab our power back.
Next question.
Okay, Nick.
All right, good evening. I'm Nick Leonardo. I'm the former council member here in District 1, and I just wanted to say that I had passed the Jackson Law, which keeps landfills from expanding. The Bordeaux landfill can't expand, and against the creation of new landfills. So I have a yes or no question for two candidates. Ruby, you know what's coming. I see your beautiful granddaughter, Jasaria, back there, and your daughter, and this is an issue. You had an opportunity tonight to talk about the money that you got for your neighborhood, not your pocket. But when I was the council person, you got $10,000 from Waste Management, and you said that, or you sent an email to all the council that you did not support the Jackson Law, yes or no? Yes or no?
You know my
Yes
you
or
know
no?
why
Yeah.
my no was there, Nick. So
It's
don't
yes
set
or no.
me up
Did you
like
support
that.
the Jackson
The
Law?
question from your constituent is yes or no.
I did support the Jackson
Did you
Law.
support, did you send an email saying you didn't support it, yes or no?
Okay, we want everything to
Okay.
be respectful, and so you got your answer.
So the other question here is for Rob. Rob, there are some concerns that I've had with you, and I've met you, and some of the concerns are on your website. You've got Lisa Guerrier, who is an over-the-top developer that you interviewed. You interviewed Jonathan Hall. You had a sign at Lewis Market, which is a racist, homophobic place, and you're the only person out there with a sign. My question to you is that, do you think that Jonathan Hall has done a good job as our councilman, yes or no?
No, I don't think he's done a
Okay,
good job.
thank you so much. It's yes or no. We're looking for council people who can follow instruction. Come on. This will be the last question from the audience, and then we have our online questions.
I promise I won't be that. Yeah. My question is, we've used the term smart growth a lot. Y'all have used it a lot. As a leader, and part of being a leader is having a vision. Some of you said, well, I want to have a meeting with the council, with my community. But as a leader, you have to have a vision to guide them in that way. So please, and quickly, very quickly, before we get jumped on, explain to me what your thoughts, what does smart growth mean to you, and what is your vision for this community?
We'll have all the candidates answer this question in 30 seconds.
Smart growth, equitable and sustainable development to me means making sure any development balances out even with the surrounding neighborhoods that it connects to. Not just one neighborhood should benefit. Other neighborhoods are connected, so it should be smart growth, not just to appease one neighborhood. We got to work to make sure it is balanced. That's my idea of smart growth.
Smart growth to me is a holistic plan on development of the entire district instead of just piecemeal development projects that don't connect and don't really speak to the overall plan or vision for what we need in our district. And I've said it before, I think we need to look and maximize our assets, which I believe are our green spaces. That's what's going to bring people into our district. And I also believe that we need to do more with entrepreneurship centers. Thank you.
Smart development to me. Smart development to me is about growing the community, the economic growth in the community, in conjunction with accessibility, in conjunction with ability for the locals to be able to walk, bike, get to their prospective places in the community, whether it be grocery stores, whether it be restaurants and things like that that are made available and all need to be accessible.
Smart growth to me is what happened in DC when they were forming it. So how many of you know that DC is a sunburst? Well, it was designed all at one time. So when we are designing what we want for our community, we need to have a group of individuals who are business leaders, who are community leaders, who know the history of the community and know where we're going forward.
Representative Dixie asked about vision. My vision is no more liquor stores, no more dollar stores, just at least one sit-down restaurant, maybe something other than Kroger, another store, like maybe even a Publix. That's my vision. Things that we can enjoy without having to leave District 1.
Okay. Is there anyone that had a question or issue written down and you didn't feel comfortable coming up here and talking on the mic? You would want me to read it for you? Is anybody? Yes. Okay. The issue is, lady said she heard that they're opening up a recycling dump. And what do you plan to do about them putting another dump in our area? So let's take three people, Rob, Sean, and Joy.
So first, we need to understand that the Jackson law applies. Waste Management applied for a permit in 2011. They did not come back and discuss with the community what they were going to do. They just started to develop. And we need to fight this through Metro Legal, through the council, through any means in order to protect our community.
Putting another dump of any kind in District 1 is one of the last things that needs to happen. The symbol of dumping in this neighborhood is too visceral. It's too traumatic for those of us who live next to it. And the thought, just floating the idea of putting something like that in our neighborhood yet again is something that I can't abide. So absolutely not.
I am vehemently against that dump. I'm closer to the dump than anyone else up here. I'm on Ashland City and Drakes Branch Road. I have spoken with former Councilman Nick Leonardo the day I saw it. I think I'm one of the first to see it and post it because I go that way and I saw the sign coming soon. But I talked to him about it. We discussed the Jackson law that he got passed and what we could do with that. And what we can do with that is say no more permits. Metro, don't give them any more permits and allow them to eventually sue us.
We're not going to get to ask all of them because it's 7:29 and our candidates have closing statements that they need to make. So if we can just, can you just give me 12 more minutes? Okay, Fan.
This is the last question. If you had to, and this is from the online audience who's been watching today, if you had to endorse one other candidate, who would you endorse? One each.
30 seconds.
Just one. Just who would you endorse if you had to endorse somebody?
We got the trick questions today. It's all good. It's all good. I would endorse Sean because Sean, even though he's new to the game, he seems teachable and he's wanting to learn. And I feel that if you do not elect me as your next council representative, I have enough experience that I can transfer to him, and he'll represent you well.
Thank you, Sean.
Likewise. When I first met Ruby, I didn't know what to think, but now that we've had a chance to talk with each other and communicate, what we want out of this campaign and what her plans are and her deep knowledge of the district and its community, it's hard not to talk about Ruby in that way. But there's some distant seconds and thirds and stuff. And
thank you so much,
yeah.
Tim.
The candidate that I would support would be me. No, I know, I'm just kidding. Everybody's a fine candidate up here, and I wish I can endorse each and every one of us, of course. But I would probably support Ruby because I know Ruby has been present in the district, and Ruby has worked hard, and Ruby has worked with the National Next Plan from its conception, and she has a working knowledge, and I think Ruby is a hard-working young lady.
Thank you.
I think I might support Tim. I mean, I know that he works with kids. I know that he has a heart for the community. I know that he's been here. And, sometimes outside of having the experience, having a heart for the community is what will drive success.
I would support Tim. I think Tim will listen. I think I don't think he has an agenda. I don't think he's in bed with developers. So I think I would support Tim.
Thank you so much. And now each candidate will have 90 seconds, we have to cut it down, to have your closing statement. In 90 seconds, you have this opportunity to share with your constituents your closing remarks, and we'll begin with Ruby.
Okay, as I stated before, I ran in 2015 and I ran in 2018. And I'm not saying you did not make a bad choice. I'll let you decide what you did. Maybe you couldn't see my work and my efforts because of all the smoke and the mirrors. But I'm still here and I'm still standing. And I do want to apologize for saying that you have not been involved. When I made a statement during the last thing, I said no one has been involved. But what I meant was I didn't see anyone else in the field where I was working. But that didn't mean you were not working. So I want to apologize to you if that was offensive to you. So Dr. Cumming has been working in the district. She's just been where she was needed. So what I would ask is that you consider my commitment that I've made. I'm volunteering my time and my service. I could choose to be doing anything else, but I choose District 1. I have one mission, one goal, and one purpose, and that is to help the people. How can I help you? How can I serve you? I'm here to help protect and preserve your home, your assets, your land, your environment, anything that's important to you. That's my life of service. That's what I was called to do. And in my neighborhood, I've had more than 250 community meetings, and I've already brought $24 million to my neighborhood. We concerted our efforts and we went after what we want. If I could do that as a neighborhood leader, imagine what we could do together with me as your council representative.
First off, thank you so much for having this opportunity and for putting on this forum so that we can share our views with all of you. And once again, you all, my name is Sean Daly, and it's been such an honor to speak with our community, address some of the concerns that we all have. And it's been really eye-opening to see how much we all have in common regardless of where we come from. And what I will say about myself is that I'm a Nashville native. I am an Army veteran. I hold a master's degree in civic leadership. And I am on fire about Nashville. I'm on fire about this community. And what burns me up is thinking about the missed opportunity that we might have if we get this wrong. If we get this wrong, y'all, Katie bar the door, because our neighborhood hasn't received a lot of this development that you see in these other neighborhoods. We have a golden opportunity in front of us to get it right and to make ourselves not just like the other neighborhoods, which we need to get parity for sure, but we can be better. We can be better. It takes a vision. It takes creativity. It takes somebody with the strength to lead and to say no, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean Daly. Thank you.
Tim Thompson is my name. And in me raising my daughters, I have 4 daughters. And one thing that I always taught them were to be with ladies. And then in me teaching them to be ladies, I had to love and support them as ladies. And in me loving them and supporting them as ladies, I had to put them in the right position in order for them to be successful. As a leader is someone who puts other people in position to be successful. That a leader leads people, give them the direction. They listen to the needs and the concerns of the people that are important to the people, and they put them in position. They go out and they get the resources. I do day to day on my job. When I schedule and we do events, I sit down with my customers. We sit down and we map out a plan on what it is that they want to do, and we go from you want to see that project to become successful. And in District 1, we need that same leadership that's going to sit down and talk with us and figure out every single detail that we need to be successful. I'm Tim Thompson. I'm a leader in my community. I know how to put projects together. I work with the community. I know how to cross over the lines in terms to get business done. I've been doing business all my life, and I tend to continue to do business in this district. And I would love to see us come together and have proper leadership in order for us to take advantage of this future that we have in Nashville Next.
Thank you.
I'm Rob Harris. We've had a rough last 4 years. But, you know, today is the start of a new District 1. My grandfather used to say that the true test of a man is the way that he treats someone who can do absolutely nothing for him. At the time, he was quoting Samuel Johnson, but I'm committed to working for you, and I'm committed to working with you. We've had so much missed opportunity in this community, and it starts with the things that I talked about, TACT, which is transparency, accountability, accessibility, and communication. I've already started a newsletter. You can go outside, you can hit the QR code, and you can subscribe. I also have a podcast. You can learn about what's going on in this community. Nick mentioned that I interviewed a couple of people, but I also interviewed Nick. I also interviewed Vivian Wilhoit, Walter Hunt, and Vincent Dixie. So my interviews are a wide ranging, but I try to make sure that I keep my eye on the pulse of what's going on in this community, and I'm asking for your vote. I'm Rob Harris, District 1, United.
Thank you.
Joy Kimbrough, I'm asking for your vote. We've gotten into this situation where we are now, where we're trying to dig ourselves out of a hole because we listen to snippets and sound bites and people telling us, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and it's rehearsed and they know what to say. I have a demonstrated record. I've been opened up. I have been an advocate. I have represented others. You don't hear of any complaints about Joy Kimbrough. You don't hear Joy Kimbrough was dishonest. You don't hear that Joy Kimbrough didn't properly represent me. You don't hear that Joy Kimbrough didn't care about the community. You didn't hear that Joy Kimbrough only cares about money. You didn't hear that Joy Kimbrough can be bought. You didn't hear that. I have a demonstrated record. And if you go by sound bites, we'll be back in 4 years. You have an opportunity to send your very best, your absolute best, to the council. You can send your best, but it's up to you. It's up to you. I'm asking for your vote because I want to serve you. I stopped taking cases because I want to serve you not part-time, full-time. Full-time.
Thank
and
you
I ask
so
for your
much.
vote. Joy Kimbrough.
Thank you so much. Let's give our candidates a hand. It has been our absolute honor to host this candidates forum on behalf of District 1. District 1 United is not just us, it is all of you. I want to remind you, the committee that created this forum, myself, Dr. Judy Cummings, Floyd Morrell, Ian Rett, representing Cato Neighbors, Jennifer Hagan Deere, Whites Creek, Michelle Neal, raise your hand, Joe Engel, Scottsboro. The entire district has been represented in the planning and the execution of this forum, and you ought to give yourself a hand. Today you signed in on a clipboard so that we could gather your information. The Facebook page is still there. The website is still there, because no matter who wins this election, again, we're not putting our success in the hands of anyone. We're speaking up and we're speaking out because we have much to protect and much to preserve. Now, those beautiful blue signs cost $600. All of us put our money in. There's a basket going around. Please put in a donation. I see Marilyn Brown back there. She made a donation. Y'all put in your donation. Ladies, get those baskets going. This is your community. This is your community. The candidates are going to stay for a little while to meet and greet and shake hands. So you all, thank you, thank you, thank you. I told you it was going to be hard. It was hard, wasn't it? I knew it would be, because District 1 don't play.
Quick question. Is there a digital method to
Oh,
donate?
so YouTube, it's on YouTube. You can go back and listen to it. make sure we hold accountable. Whether they win or lose, we still gonna hold accountable for what they said. Again, thank you to Word of Life Church and to our friend Robert. Thank you so much for allowing us to use the church. Is that it?
www.d1united.org is the website address that this forum will be available on, as well as the Word of Life Church YouTube channel.
And Gary Moore, thank you for representing Jolton with us. All right, thank you so much. Come greet your candidates.